tell you a little bit about Texas history. And I want to talk about the 1930s. A very difficult time for people of Southwest USA, for the people of Louisiana, Texas, and Oklahoma. During that time, a lot of people, they looked to crime as a way to escape poverty because our economy was so suppressed that really one of the only avenues that some people would see is the criminal way to get over the hurdles in life, because the hurdles were so steep at that time. And one duo that perfected that ability was Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. And they were very ambitious people. In a normal economy, they may have just led normal careers. But again, because the times were so difficult and stressful, they went to crime. And they led a very vicious and heinous criminal spree. They robbed banks, and in the wake of their crime, they left the victims were police officers and bankers. Over and over again. It happened in the shootouts, like in the movies, at the bank robbery, and in the pursuits afterwards. And they showed no mercy. They were brutal people. But at the same time, the people of Louisiana, Texas, and Oklahoma absolutely 100% supported Bonnie and Clyde. It's without question. Whenever Bonnie and Clyde needed shelter, food, resources, a good hideout, they had it. That's why they were able to stay on the run for so long. And while the media continued to just barrage Bonnie and Clyde, while the authorities just had a burning desire to get these two, the people continued to support them. It was incredible. Just to give you an idea, at Clyde Barrow's funeral, there were 30,000 people in attendance. At Bonnie Parker's funeral, there were 40,000 people in attendance. That's on 1930s population levels. Okay, so that's the equivalent of a Super Bowl. A Super Bowl that's not a sporting event, it's a funeral. Okay? So the question is, why did the people of Southwest USA support Bonnie and Clyde? And to answer that question, you have to look back to two generations earlier. In the 1860s and the 1870s, it was a prosperous time in these areas. It was prosperous for farming communities. What happened at that time is there was just enough currency in circulation to allow the economy to grow, but not dilute the purchasing power of the dollar, which allowed for incredible growth. But what happened on these farms in Texas and Louisiana and Oklahoma is the families that were leading these farms were doing the back-breaking work without modern machinery. They were doing the back-breaking work in the fields, building these farms. And they had good, healthy balance sheets, good revenues, good profits. And they were building the foundation for generations. They intended to build these farms to hand off to their families to this day. That's why these men were in the fields doing this work. But what they would do to expand their farms is they would take small loans. They would take small loans to build a new building, to buy a new lot, to buy additional heads of cattle, whatever it was, they would do small loans to build it. And they were not smothering themselves in loans. They were doing just enough, right? Just a little bit, it's okay. And they had the revenues to cover it. Everything was fine, copacetic, no problem. But what the farmers didn't know is that they were being played. They were being played by the banker class. Because while the farmers were doing the backbreaking work, the bankers were sitting in their cool offices, and they were just letting the rope out a little bit farther before they pulled it back in and seized those farms. And when I say bankers, I don't mean your local bankers. I don't mean the bank teller at the local bank. I mean the men that set the foundations of our economy, the men who we don't know their names of, on purpose. The men who dictate the amount of currency that is in supply in the population. Because what the bankers did is they were controlling that currency, allowing it out to let those farmers grow and develop. The farmers let their guard down, take on those loans, and then the bankers pull it back, pull the currency back in. They restrict the amount of currency in supply, and they created a boom bust. Something that we're all learning about, the boom bust cycle. We learned about in 2008. I think we're in one right now, okay? And so they pull it back in. And what happened is that now all of a sudden there's no money out there to buy the farmer's products and goods. No money out there to buy the meats, the cheeses, the produce, these items. And now these men, these good men who built these farms are now in a very difficult way. These men, these good men are now told that they didn't balance their sheets right. all of these things when the truth is they were being played and they did not even know they were being played. And then what did that culminate into? Again, this is 30 years before Bonnie and Clyde. That culminated into bankers showing up to seize those farms with the county sheriff. Now, the county sheriff fell victim to this, and it's not right. But the elite, the political class, they know how to set us against one another, and there's victims in that place. And so they did this, and I like to steer everyone to the movie Throw Mama. No, I'm sorry, it's not that. Angie Dickinson, Big Bad Mama, Part 2. Go look at it. First scene is this exactly what I'm telling you right now. It's Hollywood telling you what our generations went through, the boom-bust cycle. And so this is what happened, and this is how they placed against one another. And, I think that it's very important for us to understand how the foundations of our society. I've been in small claims court twice in the past month, okay? And in small claims court today, what you will see is people getting sued by credit cards left and right, okay? And I want everyone to remember, when we were kids, when I was born in 1972, there were no credit cards, there were no payday lenders, you didn't finance a sofa, none of that stuff. But today, if you want a Whataburger, you pull out a credit card. All they do is sell us loans. Because why? They dilute our money supply. Remember when a $20 meant something? Remember that? Today, $20 doesn't get you a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. Okay, so they dilute our money supply. And then what they do is, then we have to take out loans to live from check to check. And then Dave Ramsey shows up and tells us that we need to be better stewards of our finances when the game is being played against us. It is time, when I go in that small claims court, I do not look at those people as irresponsible. I look at them as victims. Okay? And it is time for us to quit pointing the fingers at each other and start pointing the fingers at the political class, at the banker class, at those that set the foundations of our economy. And the whole purpose, so I have a show, the Chris Easton Radio Show. You can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Facebook. I go live on Radio to Bang, that's 3 words, Radio to Bang, on Facebook and on YouTube. You can find replays and shorts, video shorts at Chris Easley or the Chris Easley Show on Facebook and YouTube. But the point being is the whole purpose of the show is to unravel and reveal the stuff, the subsurface stuff that's holding us down that we don't know about. The complicated stuff that we can't understand. The goal of the show is to take that stuff and make it into easy to understand sound bites and give it to you. Okay? That's the whole purpose. Because I am done with the political class, the media, creating the talking points that we all follow like a set of rabbits, right? Hopping through the field. No, I don't want that anymore. I don't want to know what the NFL Sunday scoreboard is. I don't want that anymore. Okay? I want to know how schools are being financed at the local level. What's dictating the price of new construction at schools at the local level? That's the kind of stuff I want to know. I want to know about bail reform. I want to know how many, right now, murderers are on the street due to bail reform because they put $100 down. I want to know what the process that bail bond's been once played in our society, that the left has purposely eradicated evil geniuses. That's what I want to know. And that's the talking points I want to give you, so you start setting the foundations of our society. So you start setting the talking points, take the talking points of what we would. So, there's nothing more fun than going to a county commission control. I got a question for you. What is more important? Undeveloped farmland or new housing developments? For some reason, we're told that new housing developments supersede farmland. That's what we're told in the rate. What I want to know is what we're told that by county commissioners. Why? When the land gets developed, what are the county commissioners getting? Right? They come to you, they are so proud when they come to you with land development. What's wrong with undeveloped farmland? Just answer me that question. So please watch my show. We will attempt to answer that question. I appreciate everyone here.